Yesterday's marchers, Cameron Kasky and Delaney Tarr. And to both of you, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you for having us.
Cameron, it was a remarkable event. Hundreds of thousands of people marching on Washington and cities around the country. But in practical terms, what do you think you accomplished?
I think the best thing to come out of the march was the fact that while it was important to stand for what we believe in, and it was important that the people have come together on this unified front, I think that the fact that young people everywhere were taking initiative, standing up and leading in their communities showed that we've learned that our voices matter. And so many people came and registered to vote. So many people discussed voting. And if you look at the voter turnout for our age, it's embarrassing. So the fact that this movement has so many people realizing that it's important to get out to the polls is what I think is one of the best things we've accomplished.
Well, I want to pick up on exactly that point, which is that young people traditionally do not go out and register and vote. Take a look at these numbers. In the last midterm election in 2014, only 19.9% of 18 to 29-year-olds voted. That was the lowest rate of youth turnout in the last 40 years. Delaney, what makes you think that 2018 is going to be any different? And look, I understand the rally is exciting, but we're talking about more than 7 months from now. Are people going to go out, and are they actually going to vote in November? And how do you, in a sense, keep this movement going?
I believe that the strongest thing that we have going for us at this time is the fact that this is a youth movement. This is led by the youth, and it is led for the youth. And if we can encourage these people to take action, to be participating in our society, in our politics, then that's going to encourage our voters to actually turn out. And that's something that I think is going to continue the momentum, because even when the media leaves, these people are still there and they're still fighting for their own lives. Let's
talk about the government response since the terrible shooting at your high school. In the big spending bill the president just signed, they tighten the background check system and allocate $2.3 billion for school safety. And the Justice Department says it will ban bump stocks. Your state of Florida passed a tougher law. It raises the age you can buy a rifle from 18 to 21, imposes a 3-day waiting period, makes it easier to take guns away from people considered a danger, bans bump stocks, and provides $400 million for school safety. Cameron, what grade do you give the state and the federal response?
The state I will give a very, very crisp C-, because there are things in what they passed that are very important. Raising the age to 21 is something the majority of the country can get behind. And the 3-day waiting period, all of that, these are great steps in the right direction. As for the country with the actions taken, the federal level, I was not impressed at all, because it's important to make the schools safer, but this doesn't just happen in schools. Shootings are in nightclubs, churches, movie theaters, airports. Yes, it's important to stop school shootings, but this does very little to keep the American people out of the line of fire. What do I want to see? I want to see an assault weapons ban. I want to see high capacity magazines ban. These are things that I don't just want to see these. This is everybody. The age has to be raised to 21. These are things that are these are important issues. And the fact that nobody is in the bill, they don't say the word gun once. What causes all these shootings? What's the one thing to tie everything together? There's no specific mental health problem that makes all these shootings happen. It's the weapon. And the fact that they aren't taking any action towards it is proof that we need to keep on going.
Right after Parkland, President Trump talked tough about these issues. He talked about taking guns away from people who have basically have been seen as a threat. He talked about raising the age to buy a semi-automatic. Take a look at what the president had to say.
Take the guns first, go through due process second. You can't buy a handgun at 18, 19, or 20. You have to wait till you're 21, but you can buy the gun, the weapon used in this horrible shooting at 18.
Delaney, what do you think happened?
I mean, words are fine and dandy. I'm glad that he said those words, because those are some things that we would like to see. However, I have not seen any action taken to follow through on those steps.
And why is it that you think that the rhetoric ended and he backed off a lot of the more extreme steps or stronger steps?
Well, you know, he had a meeting with the NRA after that, and suddenly he backed down.
And is that what you think it is?
I mean, to call it a coincidence seems like a bit of a stretch, because to say all of these incredibly firm stances and then to immediately backpedal on them after having a meeting with the NRA and not a long time period of difference there, it reads sketchy to me.
The NRA says that what you guys want to do is not just take away semi-automatic weapons, just take away high-capacity weapons. You really want to take away people's guns. Here is one of your fellow students at Parkland, Kyle Kashuv, talking during the march yesterday.
They truly don't know what they're marching for. They think that they're marching to end school violence, but in reality, the March for Our Lives website has it listed that they want to ban assault rifles.
Cameron, how do you respond to Kyle?
Well, first of all, we are not just marching to end school violence. We are marching to end violence all over the country, because that's where it happens. Second of all, we are not trying to take everybody's guns away. My father is a reserve police officer. We have guns in our house. They are responsibly managed and hidden from anyone but him. But the point is, we are not trying to take everybody's guns away, and the NRA wants people to think that. They're fear mongers. They want to sell weapons by exploiting people's fears. So the second we want to put common sense regulations on these assault weapons, the NRA will say, they are trying to steal every single one of your guns. And people believe them. Fortunately, the majority of the American people see past this.
So where would you draw the line in terms of eliminating guns? Would it just be assault weapons?
I think assault weapons need to be banned, and I think that smaller weapons used more for protection of your homes can be sold, but there need to be more restrictions. You need to go through a mental health check. You need to be 21. These are all things that are common sense, and I think getting a handgun to protect your home is an important thing if you need to, but it can't be that easy.
We had a school shooting, as I'm sure you know, here in Maryland last week, where a student went into the school and killed his former girlfriend, but he was stopped and died. We're not sure whether he killed himself or he was shot by a sheriff's deputy at the school who confronted him. A host on NRA TV yesterday talked about that deputy.
To all the kids from Parkland getting ready to use your First Amendment to attack everyone else's Second Amendment at your march on Saturday, I wish a hero like Blaine had been at Marjorie Douglas High School last month, because your classmates would still be alive and no one would know your names.
Delaney, your reaction to that and your reaction to the NRA argument, which is the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Well, first of all, our school is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, not Marjorie Douglas High School. Felt like I needed to clarify that, but also I'm glad that that sheriff had a gun, because he is a person who should have a gun. But a teacher does not need a weapon like that. A teacher's job is to educate, not to defend. The narrative that they're pushing, that a good guy with a gun, what do they define as a good guy with a gun? Because I would define it as a highly trained professional, not as filling our classrooms with weapons. That is not a good guy with a gun.
And what about the implication when he says nobody would know your name, that this is an ego trip?
Yes. I think that's the most pathetic thing I've seen out of this, possibly even beating crisis actors. And that's the NRA. You'll notice they can't attack our argument. So they're attacking us personally. The fact that they're saying that all we want out of this is for people to know our names, they have no idea how much each of us would give for it to be February 13th again. So the fact that they've stooped that low, I can't imagine how much lower they can get.
I want to end this on a personal note, because this has been a whirlwind 39 days to you, and I suspect in some way, maybe even you wouldn't agree with this, that organizing and the media attention and all of that was a way to get through these 39 days after the shock. But now the camera's going to go away. First of all, how are you doing? And secondly, do you look at going back to being high school students as something that you're going to be able to do?
I mean, even through all of the negativity that we've seen, as we just watched there's an overwhelming amount of support and positivity, and I think that's what keeps us going, is knowing that so many people stand with us. And even once the cameras go away, that doesn't mean our job is done. It doesn't mean we just get to go back to our old high school lives, because those are forever changed. We can never go back to school and feel the same that we once did. That's just not a possibility anymore. And even though our lives are changed, it's something that we take in stride, because we know we're going to have to continue working on this.
Cameron?
Well, you know, it's been a frenzy the past couple of weeks, but the fact that the people that I've been directly working with, my peers, the fact that we've had each other, that's really how we've gotten through this. We've been supporting each other, we've been smiling through the pain together, and the fact that we'll still have each other, the fact that we'll still have the Stoneman Douglas community, it shouldn't be too hard to feel like everything's okay soon.
Cameron, Delaney, thank you both. Thanks for taking time out of this busy, hectic weekend. We'll follow where the movement goes from here. And thank you again for everything you've been through.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Up next, we'll bring in our Sunday group to discuss whether the student movement on gun control will have an impact on the